Mike always hot for me.
Good morning, everybody. It's Coffee and Politics Online with Sydney Walker. And we're here this morning at Mocha Coffee and Tea down in Deep Ellum. And lots of attention for this show. So I'm surprised y'all have not filled this place up, as we are going to sit here and talk about city and county spending. So we have a familiar face here. Mr. Bring Water to Sand Branch is here. Dear Avery, aka my baby brother. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming on.
Of course.
Coming back on.
I'm always willing.
So we are going to have this great discussion about county and city spending, but more so how the spending has occurred that has created debacles. To say the least. Boondoggles, debacles, overspending, weird spending.
Uncomfortable spending.
On the backs of taxpayers. Now, we already are in places of having budget shortfalls, especially after COVID.
Right.
But we are really challenged with kind of where things are going. So, just in June of 2024, there was a report with a shortfall with the county of $40 million.
The county should never have a shortfall.
Why should the county never have a shortfall?
Because, the county has a $1.7 billion budget. And the county is the one setting the tax rate. The county sets the tax rate.
For Parkland, Dallas County Community College.
Every taxing entity except for the cities themselves.
And so, and we are still paying debt. Dallas County Schools, if y'all don't remember. That whole debacle with getting rid of the school bus system that we were all paying taxes on our property taxes. So October has already come and gone. Go back and look at your tax statements from John Ames, our county tax assessor. So over $1 billion, and we should never have a shortfall. So we ended up having a shortfall.
Right.
We haven't even looked at 2025 numbers.
I'm nervous to see them because and the thing is, the shortfall is not based on things that are helping everyone.
Okay.
I would love to see it if we were solving some problems, if we were solving major problems. And that's not to say that we're not doing good things. They're doing lots of great things. The problem is when you have a $40 million shortfall off of a $1.7 billion budget, some people will say that's a rounding error. That's not a rounding error. $40 million is not a rounding error.
Greater than 5 move up.
Think about this. When we don't have an IT director at the county.
I thought we did. I thought they brought in someone.
We haven't had one for years, and I need to double check, but over the last several years, we've lost almost that amount in deficit because of not having an IT director. We got scammed out of $2.5 million just because there's no IT director. Then with the implementation of Odyssey, I want to say implementation, but it was any first year IT person knows that you can't implement a software without doing a beta test. And they just went live with it and completely killed the old system.
We're going to have production as the text bed. Knowing my IT. So I know I have ruffled some feathers because I can't even get a call back on my application down at the county. And I was trying to get in there because they had a great PMO position there. And it just kind of went sideways for me. So that's wild. And I know that I had Judge Tina Clinton on,
Right.
and she talked about some of the issues with that. And I'm like, I know some developers and some engineers. Man, we could have had this up and going a long time ago.
6 months. There's no software that shouldn't be up in 6 months. Test it. You take another 6 months. Test it live with the backup system still in place. That's not. That makes no sense, and we're clogging the court system. That's my issue, because that means we have people languishing in the county jail. They're loose stairs, stuck,
waiting. And you know this is campaign season.
Uh-oh.
And there have been candidates that talked about that.
Mm-hmm. So how does a judge move cases faster if the software system always has bugs? You know, and that's kind of my issue. You want the judges to move cases,
right,
but are you giving them the
clearing
tools?
their docket? Because that is something
Right.
that challengers to the incumbents are screaming about, with inefficiencies in courtrooms and whatnot. And here we have a whole IT system, software system, pardon me, that is supposed to be easing that and making that more efficient.
Right.
And it has been a nightmare. I know since I've heard about it.
Right.
And I know John Warren has done a lot of things, and he is retiring. He's stepping down, and we have new challengers running for the office. So make sure that you get to know all of the candidates for that. And then we still have Felicia Petrie there as a county clerk as well. And everybody always talks about how government is so inefficient.
Right.
And everybody acts like they're on their lunch break.
But are we trying? Because at the end of the day, you have to look at it from a top-down approach.
Right.
And we can't blame any one person. I know it's easy to blame one person, but
of course,
there's also a group of people who could make that decision and say, we're going to do better.
Would that be the county commissioners?
Correct. That entire body, there's 5 people.
Well, they're supposed to be providing the oversight, much like the city council on contracts and spending, and providing that oversight on the budget.
Right.
We haven't even gotten into the city stuff yet.
This is a point in history where there's a right side of history and there's a wrong side. And I think that I really want people to take away their biases, take away all of those things, and think about what this is going to look like 30 years from now.
Right.
Think about what people are going to say about it 30 years from now. Because if we go back 30 years, it's easy to critique decisions that people made. And a lot of times people say, well, I wish I had made a different decision. We have opportunities right now to
clean things up.
To clean it up. You know, we're at the county, a budget deficit makes no sense if you're the one levying taxes.
Yeah. You're levying them, you're collecting them, and you're dispersing them.
Correct.
Oh, my cortado. Yay! So we need to take a moment here because we need to pray to the gods called coffee. I call it the elixir. Can you get our drinks for us? Because I need to take some sips on that. So one thing that was very interesting with doing my research on this was looking at how, thank you, my dear, looking at how one of the areas that over expenditures were occurring was personnel overtime.
Correct.
And so, if you live in the city of Dallas, even Dallas County, all you have heard about is how we are short on police officers. And we need to hire police officers. And when are we going to get to this 4,000 number of police officers, although the police academy is the limiting step with making sure that our officers are trained appropriately and out on the streets. The sheriff's department has a shortage of deputies.
Right.
And so that's where a lot of the overtime is going, in addition to the juvenile justice system and the jails.
Correct. Correct.
Like, what are
The
we
jail.
doing here? How everybody is short on short on staff.
But didn't we just say that we want to build a $5 billion mega jail?
Make it make sense.
So if we're short staffed now and we can't handle what we have going on now because the conditions are poor, the state has come in multiple times. We failed inspections, and then we've passed them. Then we keep failing them again because
How are we passing and then failing?
it's kind of like when you're in a classroom and
you get behind on your schoolwork and you ask for some extra credit.
You ask for a little extra credit because you've been it's like, okay, let's get this done, but then you fall back behind because you haven't fixed a structural issue. You just did enough so that when some patchwork, and people that work at the jail, they're overworked. They're quitting. You have people committing suicide. I mean, it's bad. There's no sugarcoating it. And
so, just to put it into perspective, $7 million was spent on overtime for the sheriff's department and the jail,
right?
Because of short staff. We don't have enough people working there, so we're burning out our people. And what is so interesting is that we don't have a Heroes Act for the Sheriff's Department to make sure that we have, and I don't even know what the number would be for the Sheriff's Department because, of course, everybody looks at municipalities and the police departments within those municipalities and wanting them staff. But here you have a law enforcement agency that takes care of the entire county.
I mean, think about the budget that goes to the fire marshals because the fire marshals are being used as private security to fill in those gaps, and they're fire marshals. They're not supposed to be trained deputies,
right?
And no offense to the fire marshals because some of them are, but overall, that budget is not supposed to be used for that, and that's what's happening.
And there has been a lot of scrutiny over that. Because you also have deputies that provide courtroom security.
Correct.
Okay, first, you want a job? Let's go get a job. Okay?
Right.
Let's go help out, our agencies here that are serving us. But I mean, do you know about any recruiting efforts to beef up our county systems?
I don't think so because right now they're trying to manage what they have, and there could be, and maybe I'm not privy to it,
right?
But when you have a jail that's always at capacity, the jail is always at capacity, and one of the studies, and of course people can always back up the numbers because I always tell people to fact check anything that I say, but I read that 65% of the people who are at New Sterrett are there for nonviolent offenses, and they're there and they're pending trial. So
those cases that are not being handled by the software.
There you go.
And the dockets that are falling behind.
So when you start looking at where all of the waste is coming from, it's a cycle. So of course, if you're not getting cases through, people are staying in jail longer. Now the staff who's working the jail, they're overworked, and now you have a cluster on our hands, and then the conditions of the jail are horrible.
And so now I'm going to step in with some city information because if you're not following the city council meetings, Councilwoman Carl Mendelson brought up questions around the city paying for jail services.
Right.
And the city of Dallas, DPD, is the highest user of the New Sterrett system. So the city of Dallas is cutting a check every month to the county,
right,
for jail services. And I've talked to some other municipalities, and they have their own city jail, so they're not necessarily bringing people to New Sterrett. So as we are talking about more police officers and reaching this 4,000 number with officers, and that does not say we are getting more detectives to do investigations to close cases, because that's something that I think would help people feel safer, especially those that are survivors of sexual assault. And we have cases, we have kits that aren't even being processed, with DNA, and and a lot of the city budget goes to public safety, i.e., DPD,
right,
to make sure that their salaries are higher, so we're attracting and retaining officers, where retention is a whole nother issue, and we'll have a discussion with that. And I'm working to have Chief Como on the show once he hits his 1-year anniversary, so we can talk about what he's done and what his tenure looks like going forward. God bless that man. But it's like a catch-22. Here, people in the city of Dallas want jail, lock people up, and then here we have this $5 billion price tag on a mega jail, and we already added on to Loose there like a couple of times now.
So can I make a connection?
Yes, please.
And a parallel, right? So you talked about hiring more officers, right?
Yes.
And I like to speak plainly, because I like for people to go back to things that maybe I've said before, because a lot of people do that to use it against you.
Right.
But I say it so that you can verify that it was said and said
Please
very plainly.
Check. Yes.
So you said something about detectives. We have this tension, particularly in our community, with people that look like us, where there's an older generation that just wants more police, and then there's a younger generation that's like, F the police, right?
Yes.
And sometimes we clash.
Right.
And this is within our community. However,
and I'm gonna tell you something. We're going to meetings, public safety meetings across the city. Let me tell you, the districts that are north of I-30, baby, they want cops out left and right. They want people being pulled over for the slightest infraction. And I remember when we had what were they? State troopers,
right.
Team Doll from there was real pissed off about that, because she was like, first off, Paw Patrol is supposed to be running things, number one, and she didn't get a phone call, because she would have had her homies, her posses come up here, and our phone, everybody, all jokes aside. So when the troopers were here, and there was still a divide,
right? Correct.
With yay, lock people up, do this, pull people over. And then there were people that were staying inside their houses, because they're like, I don't want to be targeted just because there's this heightened, and it wasn't necessarily that they were committing crimes. I got profiled, and all I did was wait, and I was walking my dog.
Right. And that's the tension I think that we sit with, that I sometimes don't think people who aren't in our community quite understand, because you could be doing nothing wrong. Everything with me is up to date, but I'm nervous that I get pulled over and I'll be Philando Castile, and that's just a natural fear. I'm not doing anything wrong, everything is up to date, nothing's expired, but that's just a fear, because it comes historically, right? However, at the same time, if you ask anybody in our community, and this is where I think that disconnect, sometimes even north and south, even racially. If you ask someone in our community, or generationally, if they want a murder to be solved, they want a murder that happened in their neighborhood to be solved. They want a sexual assault to be solved. It's not saying people don't want safety, but the way that we go about it, if you train people well and hire more investigators that look into stuff, yes, some people will be anti that completely, because, snitches get stitches, right? But the vast majority would say we don't need necessarily people harassing folks on the front end. We need folks doing deeper work to get to the root of the problem. It's like the risk terrain model of how you solve crime. 1% of 1% of a neighborhood commits the crime.
Okay.
And we're attacking everyone that's way on the outside, but we're not getting down to the root. So when we say that we need more, more police, we need more deputies. No, we need to be more efficient
with
what we have. The jail population should be cut in half. And here's the connection I said I was going to make earlier.
Yes.
$5 billion, right?
Mm-hmm.
I did the math, right? I'm pretty decent at math.
You're a nerd.
You're a nerd. You know what I mean? So imagine if instead of we're talking about moving City Hall, and I'm sure selling City Hall, a property owned by the people.
It's a park, so technically it can be sold.
But we're talking about selling City Hall. I'm sitting there thinking
for a stadium.
For a stadium. And if you do the research, stadiums don't actually have a net benefit over time. 20 years, they're looking for a new one, and then now you have this good thing sitting there, and you're trying to figure out what to do with it.
AAC is going to be sitting there empty because the stars aren't going to want to stay. And I know there's been conversations with bringing the WNBA there and having this ability to have more events simultaneously by splitting the two. But here's the thing. Taxpayers would be paying for and building another stadium. And that's what people don't seem to know and understand. Reunion Arena was built by taxpayers. There have been other stadiums built in the city of Dallas that the taxpayers have paid for. And Arlington, did their election and whatnot for Jerry's World. And the businesses have benefited from the increased foot traffic. But people talk about, and I'm seeing y'all's comments online, and I have rebutted y'all where you're talking about, the tax benefit. The tax benefit goes to the billionaires who own the stadium because they're not paying property taxes on those arenas. They get abatements. They get a private-public partnership where they're getting taxpayer dollars to pay for this stadium where they put minimal money into it.
Correct. We give up the property tax benefit in hopes of getting jobs, but they're typically jobs that are not high wage jobs, and that's no offense because every job is important.
But we're still talking about minimal skilled labor jobs. So instead of the people working at the AAC, half of them are going to leave and come over to the new arena, making $12, $15 an hour.
Right. It's not a living. It's not creating a living wage. It's not creating.
They're not making
industry.
The six figures that you really need in order to live inside of the city of Dallas.
Right.
And here's another thing. So the bus, the 13 now from my neighborhood has a bus stop right there at City Hall. Do you think DART is at the table for any of these conversations about moving all the suburbanites that are going to be coming in for these games and concerts and whatnot? Because here's the thing. The AAC is at a place where multiple trains come through for DART, and everybody talks about, DART is not safe. Well, baby, if y'all are crowding up the trains and the buses with working professionals, but I still raise a question on, and please don't let me have my soapbox moment, because I'm sick of mass transit here in this area only being seen as a poor people's mode of transportation.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Okay, because you have people in Chicago, New York, DC, Seattle, all of these major cities, and they have their cuckoos along with their professionals all getting on those subways and those buses, and everybody is fine. And I don't understand how we can have that kind of culture and everybody is good, and then we get here and it's like, ew, no.
You ride the bus. Listen, let me tell you something about that. So, for me, my family, we were in Houston. We didn't own a car. We depended on public transportation. The problem was, and that's the problem that I see here, is that it's not geared to people using it every day for everyday use. It's niche. There are some places you have to live certain places where you get there. We used to have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, me and my mom, to get to church on Sunday by 8 o'clock because we would have to catch a cab to the bus stop, then catch the bus to the transit center, then catch another bus to get to the church. And that was before there was any trains. But I see that now. I'm 42 years old. That was 30 some years ago.
Right.
Dallas now, I live in Cedar Hill. If I want to get downtown without using my car,
you have to come into District 8 or District 3.
Correct. I have to get to UNT.
Yes.
Dallas.
Yes, in order to get it. And here's the thing, so, Plano and Addison and Highland Park, all those guys are having their elections in order to decide whether they're going to pull out.
Right.
And here you have a whole wave of people, Duncanville, DeSoto, Cedar Hill, Lancaster.
Don't even have the option.
And they have to have their cars. And
Right.
guess what? They're not working downtown because guess what? Their first job's downtown, Britt. They're going to Addison. I knew a guy at Bank of America driving from Cedar Hill to Addison every day.
What if he didn't have a car? How would he get there?
He wouldn't be working for the bank.
And I heard you mention that when we go back to the jail, that most of the people, the number one city is City of Dallas. Number two is Dart, right?
Yes.
And so
because everybody wants homeless folks arrested.
They want
YNs arrested.
So our young nieces and nephews, they want them arrested, and we want to be punitive about sending people who are poor. We criminalize them to poor. So when it comes to thinking about how we can make things better, we need transportation, and we're talking about selling a city hall, which is crazy, to pay rent.
Make it make sense.
We're selling the city hall to pay rent, but then we don't have.
But we don't have money. We don't have money to make sure trash is being picked up and to make proper workarounds.
Right.
So let's talk about this, okay? Let's have some numbers here, okay? Sheriff Department jail overspent by $7 million on overtime because not enough staff. The Juvenile Justice Department, $5.2 million on overtime. Okay? So you talk about the city of Dallas and wanting to sell City Hall, and guess what? They'll get $1. They sell it. Okay, $1. All right. We have road construction that has gone over 89,000 to finish projects. Okay, we have permitting failures that ended up stopping construction in Elm Thickets. Okay, we had a fraud scheme that cost the city of Dallas $5 million with a husband and wife team on construction projects. Okay, so the total spending from the city of Dallas, 2025, $10.33 billion. At 359,000, if we're going to round up this rounding area, it's 360 because it's 359.78. Enterprise Operating Fund, and let me tell you where this Enterprise Operating Fund goes to. A general fund, water, internal service, debt. What is that? The police and fire pension. But you want to sell City Hall, and you're going to end up giving it away for free, basically, because
they're going to tax
the Mavericks will not pay taxes on it. They're not even going to pay for the construction of the arena, because if we were actually making them pay for the real cost of erecting their new stadium that they won't want a new stadium, baby. They will figure out a way to make the AAC work until it was literally crumbling like they claim City Hall is.
And the fear that most people have is that they will just up and leave, and that's what everyone is afraid of. Just like the Cowboys,
But what are we getting
But
back?
That's the thought that I keep having. Is it worth it? Yes. As a fan, I love it.
Right.
And for the morale of the city, I love it. But when it comes down to dollars and cents, we need more housing. We need more businesses, economic development.
Roads and alleys.
Correct.
Because y'all are complaining. How many people riding around here in this city and all the potholes and curbs crumbling and lack of sidewalks and sanitation in some parts of our city?
Right.
Over by Wendelkin in South Dallas. I know in District 7 over by Buckner Terrace, once you come off of Military Parkway, you got a whole community without curbs and sidewalks. So, top 5 places that the city of Dallas spends money? Other improvements outside of buildings.
What does that even mean?
Roads and alleys. Well, everybody can beg to differ on that one. Sure. So just come here on Taylor Street. Good grief.
Oh, there's so many potholes.
Contractor fees.
Interesting.
Listen to these city council meetings, okay? Because you have a very vocal city council woman, baby, that comes prepared every council meeting. And I know she is pissing people off, but she is actually scrutinizing things and wants accountability for where our tax dollars are going. Professional services, that includes that lobbying that was highly discussed, city council meetings, buildings. Really? Because why is City Hall so-called crumbling?
And we're spending money on buildings. Couldn't we maybe think about putting the money back towards the main building? And
this is where the money is going when we say buildings. Pop this. $29 million spent on unused buildings to the tune of $73,000 per month.
So, $29 million, right?
$29 million. And Chad West is coming on, and we're going to go through all the real estate that the city of Dallas owns. So since y'all think I'm not doing anything, yeah.
So I'm stuck on the 29 million number for a reason. When I was looking at the reports that the architects and the engineers made, when they talked about the repairs that needed to be made at City Hall several years ago before it turned into, $500 million.
And let's talk about that bridge where Scott Griggs and Eric Johnson were running and Value Engineering. How any improvements been made to the bridge?
I don't believe so.
We haven't heard anything about the bridge since that election cycle. I'm sorry, I digress. Because it's laughable, and it's not. Because I'm trying not to cry.
We're just wasting our money. And you think about, the estimate was $35 to $40 million is what City Hall needed to.
That was deferred maintenance.
Deferred maintenance, and that's what everyone complains about. Because people will inbox me saying, "I've been there. The toilets don't work. It floods down there." Okay, well, guess what?
We don't have locks on the stall.
We don't have locks
on
the
stall. Throw the whole baby away, man.
Yeah, it's like, man, it would be like at my house if I said, man, the utility room flooded. We got to sell the house. Oh, we selling the house.
Who does that? Oh, I need a new roof. Well, we just going to put this sucker up for sale.
We selling it.
And then we're going to pay somebody to buy it.
Right. And imagine if that house was designed by a renowned architect and it was
and made sure that it was sound construction. Okay, first off, it was IMPA's first civic building, number 1. And 2, we were still doing things right back then when it came to construction. We weren't cutting corners because this was the 70s.
And it's documented. I mean, you can go through and see the documented pictures of the construction. It's great construction. And it was even designed where it didn't need those big, thick columns, but it made, the mayor at the time uncomfortable. So they even reinforced it there. So even the cost of tearing something like that down is really expensive. But I keep going back to, you know, you could have found 29 million just, you know, unused buildings.
Unused buildings.
Sell those buildings.
Right.
Sell those buildings.
Right.
Why are we buying buildings that we never use for homelessness? We're buying buildings that we're supposed to be putting departments in. Sell those buildings and fix your city hall. That's a landmark.
So, y'all know, I did my little 15-minute discussion about AT&T leaving downtown, and I predicted that the city was going to move into the AT&T building. But what people may not remember is that Bank of America is going to be building a new tower over by Chase, by Clyde Warren Park, okay, because Chase moved over there. And so there was discussion of the City Hall moving into the old Bank of America building, the Green Tower.
Right. Baby,
we have money for rent. Because my last video I did, I said, does the city have a benefactor? Who's paying our bills? Oh,
the taxpayers.
The taxpayers are the benefactors. Except they're not getting anything for their money. At least when you are a benefactor, you get something out of that deal.
That's why I would be for putting everything on the ballot and let the voters decide. But then, of course, they'll pay lobbyists to do their thing and convince people to say yes when they mean no. Just like we, would always have.
The Omni Hotel.
Right. It's confusing. But at least, bring in revenue. But like I could nerd out on the numbers, but think about it from a high level. Think about what we're doing. We own a building. We're going to sell it for a little deferred maintenance. And then we're a taxing entity. We're going to go take money that we've taxed other people, homeowners.
It's the homeowners. It's not the commercial property.
Because remember, homeowners pay 98% of their market value, typically, of their house and property taxes, minus any exemptions. Commercial property owners pay 56% because they can afford. With that? Well, we're a non-disclosure state, so we don't have to say what anything's sold for. And with that being said, the bulk of property taxes falls on homeowners' shoulders. And we're gonna sell a building, and then we're gonna go pay rent to someone.
And you're gonna ask the taxpayers to pay more to cover said rent. And right. Here's another thing. Permitting, because you build houses.
Correct.
$8.6 million loss because the permitting department still can't get their act together. Okay, wait. It gets better. Hold on. Remember that fraud scheme I told you about? $5 million. Okay? $5 million. Okay? City has spent 2025 $2.10 billion. Okay? Let's talk about contractors. Estrada Concrete. We talk about all these batch plants. $97.85 million. They are the top vendor. Where is all this concrete going? Okay, baby? It's sure as heck not going in these streets and alleys. Everybody who has an alley and you're not getting trash service, y'all need to go and boycott at City Hall. Make your voices heard. But here's how it gets even. Oh wait, TxDOT. TxDOT is another vendor with the city. Okay, Texas Materials, J.E. Dunn Russell,
right,
and Kay Bailey. I don't know how that is because I thought the convention center was the city of Dallas, but I digress. But here's something else, and I laughed because I had to go back because KERA did a report on this. So There was a $9 million contract awarded to a company. They were suing the city.
I thought that they didn't do business with people suing them.
But the city attorney reviewed it and okayed it. It was Gadberry Construction, and the president was Omar Narvaez, campaign treasurer, when he was
Yikes.
deputy mayor pro tem.
So let me get this straight. So the treasurer for the campaign, for the deputy mayor pro tem, was suing the city.
They got awarded $9 million.
But still got awarded a contract
for $9 million.
I mean, the stories write themselves.
You want to know where your tax dollars are going?
To someone's pockets. And we
listen to these county commissioner and city council meetings. Listen to them.
Wow.
Because with all of the overspending at the county, how much would it take to bring water to San Branch?
$13.5 million.
Wait, what?
Well, $13 million, I'm sorry. And that's being generous because that's a $4.5 million fund to assist residents with their property taxes and with their water bills for 10 years. So the actual number for just strictly water and sewer is $8 million.
But in 2024, the county had a deficit of $40 million.
And that's why they'll say that they can't afford it. But we're spending $100+ million every year on the jail. If we cut the population
and the general fund keeps going up.
And the general fund keeps going up. But we brag about keeping property taxes low and having a AAA bond rating, but
that bond rating changing, baby.
It's going to change if we're at that deficit.
First off, hopefully chief artist, has not had security protocols changed and contractor changed with the whole debacle of how the city of Dallas got breached and paid a ransom.
A ransom.
Same time, breach happened in Ohio, and guess what? Guess who's in Ohio?
Who's in Ohio?
The kiosk people.
The kiosks that we were trying to do here.
That we are going to do here in time for FIFA. And here's what people do not understand.
Those are so easy to hack.
Number one, but number two, when you're in the UK, in Europe, they have stricter protections for your information, your data, because they know the power of the value in having consumers' data.
Right.
Well, now we are going to have, it is estimated, 35,000 people per day just at the fanfare at Fair Park during FIFA, this whole month event. 35,000 people a day. Just there. Okay? So, across the city, with people staying in hotels, going to eat, dine, whatever, and we're beefing up dark because in Europe, they're used to walking and taking public transportation.
Right.
We are catering because, we niche here.
Right.
Instead of providing it for our residents so we can get out of our cars.
Right.
Those kiosks, you come near them, they're going to ping off your cell phone and get your data. So now we have a company that it has the opportunity to get foreign data. And they said they're not selling it, but they don't have to because their parent company would be the ones who is going to buy it.
Right. They don't even...
They bypass buying it because they own the company that is selling the kiosks.
Wow. And we have local lobbyists that are getting paid off those kiosks.
Yes.
I think that's unethical. I mean, former council members, current lobbyists, and I know And I know that all those folks always get mad at me, but I just like telling the truth because I want to protect taxpayers and I want us to do better. Everything can't be about greed, and the taxpayers, we can't finance everyone's wealth. The city is not a piggy bank for people to get wealthy.
I went on Inside Texas Politics and said the people are not ATM machines.
Correct.
But they are being treated like ATM machines. So not only are you being bamboozled by your local government, state and federal, we haven't even gotten into the state and federal bamboozling that we're getting. And people get mad and talk about homeless. We talk about immigrants, illegal immigrants getting benefits, education, housing, all of these things. Start looking who's grifting in your city and county and state and feds, okay?
Right. And a lot of those stories aren't even true about people getting these benefits.
Right.
But we really need to point to the people that are getting these huge contracts but are giving minimal service. Because, see, in the private sector, you actually have to compete. And when people make their majority of their living off of the public sector, they typically don't compete well in the private sector, is what I've seen. Now, there are some companies that do fine, but others that don't. I have a guy that I know who his business was 100% government contracts.
And how many times have I had business people on here to tell you not to rely on government contracts as a sole part of your business?
Yeah, because an administration changes and then guess what? You're out of it. Or, you're pricing double what you would charge someone in the private sector. Because I asked for a quote from this guy that just did government contracts. His quote was 3 times higher than the people that only did private sector. So what does that tell you?
I'm grifting. Let's call a spade a spade. I'm grifting. But some of y'all elected these people, and then you want to get mad and point fingers and jump on the bandwagon with buzzwords and whatnot, instead of looking underneath the hood. Because that's what this show was about, was to point out the inefficiencies and where spending is occurring off of you, the taxpayer. And people talk about they don't want taxes like they have in Europe. Baby, I would take that any day over what we're doing here in the United States, because once you look at your property taxes, your sales taxes, your income taxes, your taxes for cell phones, streaming services, cars, everything we are getting taxed on.
They are killing
and
us.
What are we getting in return? You can't go to the hospital. You can't go to the doctor and get checked out without walking out with a bill.
Right.
But you don't want universal health care because you feel like, oh my gosh,
I'm paying for someone else
who doesn't deserve it.
Right now, we're paying for people who don't need it. Because we're paying taxes to fund. Because imagine funding a stadium for a billionaire. Because that's what we're doing, as opposed to funding something for your neighbor.
But those jobs.
Those jobs.
The little security people that walk around with their
right. Is that a life-changing job, or is that a means to an end?
Right.
That's a job. Some people, they may work that their entire career. More power to them. And
that's their choice.
Correct. But if they had other opportunities,
they wouldn't do it.
They would take something better.
Right.
And that's why when we talk about the jobs, that's the excuse used with economic development. We'll say we're bringing in X number of jobs, but what is the quality? What's the quality of those jobs? What is the wage? Is it a living wage? Is it something that you're going to have to be on public assistance?
Right. What they're earning, how is that contributing to the greater society? Because those jobs aren't leading to home ownership.
Correct.
Those people are not paying property taxes on home ownership. They're barely covering rent.
Correct.
they're struggling with that. And the biggest welfare recipient is a corporation.
Correct.
That subsidizes their low wages to their employees because they have to get Section 8, they have to get SNAP, they have to get these additional benefits in order to survive. And people say, well, if we paid them a real wage, the cost of everything would go up. That's a lie. It just means that corporate profits don't have to be as high. And even during the pandemic, we saw record profits.
Right. A business person will figure it out.
Record profits. And y'all say capitalism with the market determined. No, the market is in cahoots.
Correct.
They're in cahoots.
I had to figure it out during COVID.
Pivot, but you're not too big to fail.
Correct. I had to cancel build jobs because the price of lumber quadrupled. But guess what? I had to figure it out.
You had to figure it out.
And I'm a small company.
You're a small company,
so
but
a company that has access to, lots of resources and lobbyists.
And DC individuals, yes.
They can figure it out as well.
Because Chrysler, all those guys got bailed out. That was part of GW's administration, and it carried over into the Obama administration because man versus Ford. They won their case, but they got pennies on the dollars because those car manufacturers, not car dealerships, car manufacturers were like, this is going to bankrupt us.
Right.
And guess who bailed them out?
We did.
Taxpayers. It's 9 o'clock, baby. I know you got to go because my nephew has a game. Let's come back and chop it up again.
Oh, yeah. Always. And, I always want to leave people with, we're never angry at leadership because accountability is not an attack. Accountability is